Today we have Sean Garret, Vice President of Paragon Asset Recovery with us. Good morning, Sean.
Morning, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you have an interesting story in how you got into the world of insurance. Walk us down that road.
Yeah, absolutely. I spent a lot of my life in the hospitality industry and just realized I just needed a little bit of a change. And a good friend was working for Paragon at the time, and he said, "Hey, we're looking for someone that's got the ability to talk to human beings
Right.
and stay in front of people and just connect." And I said, I think I can do that. And he's then let's go talk about third-party deductibles. And the rest is written in history.
So third-party deductibles, tell us what exactly is a third-party deductible?
Yeah, that's a great question because I've been doing this in this role for about 10 years now. And it's funny because third-party deductibles is how I got introduced to the P&C industry. But so many leaders that have been in this business for 30, 40 years sometimes don't even know what they are, how they're used. So a third-party deductible, also known as a liability deductible, a commercial deductible, used only on, obviously, commercial policies. It applies differently than a first-party deductible would. So when you're in that first-party deductible situation, like on your personal auto lines, you have an accident, $5,000 in damage, the carrier can net the deductible that you have on your policy out of it and then pay you just the balance. So you have a $5,000 damage, you have a $1,000 deductible. The carrier can send you that check for $4,000 and that deductible has been satisfied. The problem with the third-party deductibles is that the insured and the claimant are different entities.
Okay.
So the insured owes a deductible every time there's a claim on, say, like a commercial auto policy they have for their small business. And every time there's an accident, the insured owes a deductible back to the carrier. So it creates this receivable environment. The problem is third-party deductibles are, as I said, they're written on commercial only policies, and they're just not very clearly defined. One of the main problems is there's multiple disparate systems. There's a claim system,
right,
policy system, and a recovery system or finance system of some sort. And for that deductible occurrence to be identified, invoiced, pursued, accounted for correctly, all those systems have to talk and communicate.
Okay.
And so the process breaks down all the time. And these deductibles just get completely missed regularly.
So when you say completely missed, I'm a insurance carrier, ABC Insurance Company, and I insure Joe's Plumbing, and they have a $10,000 deductible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they have one of their trucks has an accident, causes $100,000 in damage to, they run into a business, for example.
Right.
$100,000 in damage. They've got a $10,000 deductible. How does that work? Am I fronting the deductible and then I have to chase it down?
Exactly. So it's not necessarily fronting it, but you have to make that claimant whole. That $100,000 that's owed to them, the insured carrier has to make them whole, and then that should trigger the receivable owed back from the insured to their carrier. Right. So then they have to send an invoice and recover that balance then. And so what happens is, for a number of reasons, deductibles can be just really hard to identify.
Okay.
Because they're buried in policies. It'll live in an endorsement on page 42. A lot of times a policy gets bound, and then the policyholder decides that they want a deductible on their policy to reduce the premium that they have to pay.
Okay.
Months after a policy is bound, they can decide to add a deductible, which reduces the amount of premium they owe, but it also then triggers this process where the deductible needs to be recovered after every single claim. And so if you think of a policyholder, like your plumbing example, maybe they've got 7, 8, 9, 10 plus claims a year.
Right.
If that deductible isn't identified each and every time and pursued each and every time, there could be $50, $60, $100,000 owed back to the carrier. And that's what gets missed. That's what Paragon tries to do. We've found a way to use predictive analytics, data mining tools, and help the carriers identify when that deductible is owed back.
So how prevalent is this?
We've never hit a dry well. I guess I'll put it that way. We've done probably 100, 110 of these processes where we go back and we look for missed deductibles on carriers' closed claim files, and we're always finding a significant amount missed. And a significant amount can vary. Most commercial carriers miss somewhere between 10 to 15% of their annual billings. So if you're a large carrier, it can be a pretty significant number. And then carriers that rely heavily on TPAs to manage their claims can miss significantly more. TPAs just are pretty poor at identifying and recovering deductibles.
Right. So what's a typical deductible? Is it like an auto 500 or $1,000, or is it significantly more than that?
Yeah, it really can vary. And we see them from $500 to $500,000. It can really vary. The bulk of them are going to be in that probably $1,000 to $15,000 range, but it just depends on how the carrier wants to write their business.
So do you charge people to go and find them the money, or how does that work?
Yeah, so what we do, so we've got these kind of two programs. We've got a historic look back program, closed file review, where we look at 5 years of closed claim files, determine how much a carrier is missing, report back to them their leakage trending over what lines of business and the last 5 years, so they can get a really good idea of what's leaking. And so that's how we kick things off at the carrier. We do this closed file review and report back to them their leakage. After that, we have a go forward service where if the carrier decides, I'm done trying to build these deductibles, they're too much of a difficult process for my team, I don't want to invest heavily in new systems, new processes, they can then use us to be their go forward outsourced service provider and let us administer the entire deductible program on their behalf.
So if I'm a carrier and I hear this, I suddenly realize I might be leaking deductibles. How do I get a hold of you?
Yeah, that's great though. The easiest way is to go straight to Paragon ARS for Paragon Asset Recovery Services, paragonars.com, or they could email me directly at Sean, SEAN .Garret, GARET at paragonars.com.
Wow, Sean, this has been eye-opening, fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I appreciate it.